Hello Games is a tiny development studio in Guildford that produced the game No Man's Sky, a game that was hyped up to be a massive universe with over 18.6 quintillion planets to explore, in a massively multiplayer universe where you can find and interact with players in the universe, with the developers claiming that it would be incredibly unlikely that two players would ever meet due to the vast size of the universe. There's no doubt that this game was hyped up to be one of the most expansive and in-depth games ever created, with the lead designer, Sean Murray, making bold and impressive claims about the game's content and what you can do in it. So you have a beloved indie studio making a large and hyped game. What could possibly go wrong? As it turns out, quite a lot, with the game currently sitting at 64 on Metacritic and a 3.0 user score, which by all means is a pretty bad score for a game which is this hyped up. Part of the reason for this negative reception is the vast amount of lies surrounding the game, most notably Sean Murray repeatedly claiming that the game would feature multiplayer and you'd be able to meet up with other players in the universe, as shown by this video compiled by Crowdcat.
But it's such a bold idea. I mean, you guys are literally building your own, massively multiplayer world that's procedurally generated. And is there anything that this game doesn't have?
As you can see from that clip, Sean Murray does not try to correct the interviewer when he calls No Man's Sky a massively multiplayer game, from which you could easily interpret that as there being a massive multiplayer element to the game. On to the next clip.
Do we ever get to see ourselves?
No, you don't see yourself, so the only way for you to know what you look like is for somebody else to see you.
Can you run into other people, other players on the game?
Yes, but the chances of that are incredibly rare, just because of the size of what we're building.
Wow.
In that clip, Sean Murray flat out tells Stephen Colbert that you'll be able to see other players in the game if you're on the same planet as someone else.
How much interaction is there with other people playing No Man's Sky?
Those were AI,
Yeah.
those wingmen, but you could encounter other players. The reality is, the likelihood of that is tiny, basically.
Will you be able to play with your friends?
Yeah.
Can you grief other players?
A little bit.
You get the point. Sean Murray has been going around telling the media and the public that the game will feature online multiplayer, and has repeatedly stated that you'll be able to see other people, with the small caveat that the game's world is so large that it would be incredibly unlikely that you'd ever see anyone. So what's wrong with that? Is the universe so large that no two players have ever met each other yet? Well, that's what people thought, until two players called Galactic Cactus and Cytocat had found that they had both been to the same star system. This was a momentous occasion because no two players had ever met each other beforehand, so they decided to livestream their meetup. The livestream had one small problem though: the two players couldn't see each other, despite having tried everything that they could think of to prevent them from seeing each other. Another interesting thing that people have found out is on the limited edition versions of the game, if you peel off the PEGI rating, then you'll be able to see that they had covered up the fact that the game was supposed to have multiplayer. All this points towards the fact that Hello Games have been constantly putting up the narrative that the game is multiplayer, and you'll be able to see other people, despite the fact that it is impossible. I honestly don't know how Hello Games has been able to get away with this. They clearly lied about a massive part of the game, and tried to thinly disguise it behind the universe being incredibly large, with them only backtracking on the game being multiplayer after the game had been released. No doubt getting many people to buy the game under false pretenses. All this goes to show is that indie game developers are just as capable of lying as AAA developers, and that Sean Murray has an impressive talent of being able to pretend that everything is fine just as his narrative is falling apart. And all this isn't to mention the fact that the PC version is horribly broken for the vast amount of players. Fix your shit, Hello Games. Maybe you'll get back a little bit of consumer trust.